Hey everybody, welcome to the Mark Parham Podcast. You can follow me on Spotify by typing in Mark Parham Podcast, or you can follow me on YouTube by just typing in Mark Parham. So, I've been looking at this whole, I think it was one of the interviews with Elon Musk in the New York Times. It's the video where he was, I think he was speaking about Bob Iger, and he was using curse words and stuff, and people are like, oh my God, this is so controversial, and this is so edgy. But I saw that video and it made me think, like, imagine if, some of the left-wing people that controlled Twitter, imagine if those people still controlled Twitter. Like, and I know that, Twitter's been having, a rough time with some of the advertisers and stuff like that. But one of the great things about Elon Musk owning Twitter is that now you can finally get real news and perspectives. Before, there was a lot of videos or a lot of tweets and stuff that, were about Joe Biden and how well he was doing and all this other stuff. And then the people who were, the opposing voices on the platform would be shadow banned or kicked off. And I think it was amazing that when he took control of Twitter, he released some of the information that some of the things that were going on behind the scenes with the Joe Biden administration, and he let some of the folks that aren't Joe Biden supporters back on the platform. And I think that's a good thing. Believe it or not, even though, I side with the right most of the time when it comes to politics and things like that now. But again, if you go on Twitter, you've got a good balance of folks from the left. You got folks that are from the right, people that support the Democrats, people that don't support Democrats. So you got both sides, and I like that. And I think that as Americans, or even just people in general, we have to get back to having debate. I mean, having debates and stuff like that. I mean, we can't get to a point where our social media becomes an echo chamber for just ideas you believe in. And so, again, I think, even though some of the advertisers have pulled out, Twitter is one of the best social media platforms online, because you get perspectives from everybody, and you don't just get a perspective or get a point of view maybe every month or every few weeks or every 3 days, but it's constant. Like, you can update your Twitter feed and just see a ton of new stories from around the world. And I think it's amazing. I think it's one of the most important apps, considering what's going on with, the war and I think, what's going on with Israel and Palestine. Like, just to see the protest and see what Benjamin Netanyahu is talking about and what the Palestinians are talking about, I think it's a good thing. And in the future, we need more social media companies and social media, I would say, people who own social media companies and, people who work for social media companies to allow free speech. I mean, some of these other platforms, if you post something that the folks behind the scenes don't like, they shadow ban you. I mean, even I think it was Instagram, they were taking people's posts and stuff down. And I don't think that's good for democracy. And I know there's some stuff that's on Twitter that Elon Musk doesn't approve of, but he seems like a free speech guy, even though he won't let Alex Jones back on. Now, I think he should let Alex Jones back on, but he's a person where he's trying to be as fair as he can. And so I think I think him coming to Twitter, taking control of Twitter, was a very good thing for democracy. Because could you imagine Twitter right now under Jack Dorsey and the folks that worked there before? I mean, it would basically be like Joe Biden media outlet or something. So I think it's very good that he's standing up to some of these advertisers. And if you think about it, I think in the future you're going to have more people subscribe and pay for different features and stuff like that, because just relying on advertisers like a lot of these other social media companies do, I think it's the model's getting old and tired, and I think you put too much power into you give some of these left-wing companies too much power, I mean, I think the whole thing with Elon Musk sort of going off the handle at the New York Times summit or whatever the hell they were doing. But I think, the whole back and forth thing with Disney and Disney saying, oh, well, we don't want our content next to this and our content next to that. And it's just a mess. So I think in the future, you're going to have more people that are going to say, you know what, I'll pay, some extra money to get some features I normally couldn't get. And I'll pay some money to support what I believe in. And I think that's going to be the future. People, being on a service and then, paying for it themselves. Because I mean, some of these people that are at companies like Disney, and I can name a whole bunch of other companies. They're basically like their ideas are warped, and I think there was a news report that came out where they were saying people were getting tired of Disney, and I don't blame them. I mean, you look at some of the content that's coming out and some of these ideas where they're trying to force people to believe in certain things. That's not the American way, and I don't think that ever works out in the long run. And so I'm very happy to see people standing up, whether it's in big tech, whether it's in politics, podcasts. I mean, I think another thing they're going to try to do in the future is, I think they're going to try, I mean, it might sound like, I'm going off the deep end, but they're probably in the future going to make technology where they can censor podcasts, and I think that's gonna, come around the corner. I think that some companies probably creating that right now, where if a podcaster, where they can scan a podcast and basically decide, well, this person was talking about this, so let's censor this or something. So they're going to come up with a way to try to censor podcasts. I think that's the next thing, because again, a lot of these fresh ideas are these new fresh ideas, and a lot of this free speech is coming out on podcast platforms. I mean, if you look at a lot of people, I would say, that vote Republican, podcasts have been very crucial. I mean, a podcast is where you can sit down, you can put it on video, you can speak out, you can sort of speak your mind, and you don't have to worry about so much censorship. And I think that some company's going to come out with a way where they can scan a podcast and then censor certain words. I think that's coming around the corner, and people just need to keep speaking out, keep creating new platforms, let your voice be heard. Because, again, if we lose free speech in this country, we lose everything. You look at Canada, I mean, they're creating laws and stuff where, they're trying to, censor stuff on the internet, or even Europe, censor stuff on the internet, or you can get fined for not registering with the government, or you can't say certain things. And we don't want America to get to that point. If that happens, then we lose America. The beautiful thing about this country is that you can, go to a microphone, you can record yourself and pretty much say what you want, as long as it's not, I guess, harmful or whatever, I guess. But pretty much we have pretty high standard when it comes to free speech. And so I want more people to speak out, and I'm happy that a lot of Republicans, or just people in general, are finally voicing their opinions, and we have the technology to do that. I'm happy that we have Rumble. I'm happy that we have Odyssey. I'm happy that we have BitChute. Like, all of these websites are very crucial in shaping our future democracy. If you remember, before that, it was Facebook and a lot of companies that were left-leaning companies. And now I think, little by little, you're getting more of a balance. I mean, if you don't use Twitter, you can use Getter. If you don't use Facebook, you can use Nostr. There's all different protocols and platforms and things that people are creating. And so I think it's a very good time for information. And again, I know I'm rambling. I'm all over the place like I am sometimes, but please create a podcast, speak out. All it takes is a voice recorder. You don't even have to get a fancy microphone. Just grab a voice recorder, grab your iPhone, and just speak out. Believe it or not, people will listen to you. You might become the next big thing. You might become the next Joe Rogan. You might inspire a whole generation. You never know. So, again, you hear this, create a podcast, keep speaking out, and then also look for my podcast, look out for some of my content, and have a good day. Thank you.